Excuse me. Are you a police officer?
No.
I see you're carrying something on your hip. What is it?
I'm not carrying anything.
On your hip right here? I see a print on your hip, on your right hip. You sure? Okay. Yeah, I see a print right here. Right there? That's not a print right here.
You're not a police officer?
Then what is on your hip?
Have a good day.
Welcome back, everybody. As many of you guys know, I'm a law enforcement trainer instructor. I train and instruct military and law enforcement all over the country on various law enforcement disciplines to include constitutional law, case law, patrol tactics, use of force, advanced criminal investigations, etc. We're going to be continuing our CRT, or Church Response Team series here. We're going to be talking about what a lot of people have been asking, open carry versus concealed carry for church safety, church security teams. And so looking at this with nuance, I just think it's important for me to just relay my biases to you. Number one, I believe in the Constitution through and through. 110% believe in the Constitution without a doubt. I'm a military veteran. I am a law enforcement officer. I do advanced criminal investigations, state police trainer, FLETC instructor. I teach and I make law enforcement officers. That's what I have the ability to do. I teach all sorts of different disciplines, from advanced investigations to use of force. I have many advanced degrees to include a law degree. Okay, so I'm coming at this with having a lot of wide experiences in law enforcement. I've done everything from executive protection in Portland for Mayor Ted Wheeler. I was a sergeant on his mayor's protection detail, to plainclothes undercover operations. I'm SWAT certified, TAC med instructor for FLETC. So I'm not coming at this from somebody that's just a cop or just an NRA pistol instructor, right? Or a veteran, right? I'm coming at this as somebody that has done and continues to do, high intensity varsity level investigations to include officer involved shootings. And so I say all this because when we look at this from a nuanced perspective, for me, it's very easy to tell you that concealed carry is the way to go. But to be fair, I think we just need to break everything down so we can see everything from a nuanced perspective. So the first thing we're going to look at is open carry. So what is open carrying? I'm sure you guys know. It's carrying a firearm where it's visible, whether that's a rifle strung over your shoulders or a pistol outside the waistband holster. It's a firearm that's easily accessible, that's open in plain view. So open carry, right? Why do people open carry? Well, I think the best argument and reason, in my honest opinion, is because I can. The constitutional rights. I have a personal freedom and liberty to do so. No more questions asked. Completely agree. Two, the potential deterrence of crime. Okay, some people will state that if they see bad guy sees a good guy with gun, less likely to cause to partake in crime. Okay. Three, the normalization of ownership. Okay, I think that's a really strong reason. And number four, this idea of a quick draw, a tactical advantage. So if I'm looking at this, and again, I'm going to call things out the way I see it. When you talk to real open carry activists, again, really the biggest thing here is my constitutional rights and the normalization of ownership, right? Those are going to be the top two. Now, the potential for crime deterrence, I just don't agree with that. I think there's a lot better way to deter crime than everybody walking around with firearms, in my honest opinion. But the argument can definitely be made. I'll give you that. And then a quicker draw, a tactical advantage. Cool. It could be a tactical advantage, but I think that you actually lose more tactical advantages with open carry than you do concealed carry. Concealed carry. The reason why I'm a big fan of concealed carry, right? And remember, we're talking about two different things, right? Open carry activists are talking about normalization, and it's my God-given right to do so. Again, the only real arguments you need. Concealed carry, right? Potential for crime deterrence. If you go to a church or a Walmart, or you go to any public place and you tell them, hey, there's a response team here, they're all armed. There's a security team here, they're all armed. I just want you to know, I need you to go, if you were to tell somebody, hey, I want you to go to Walmart and I want you to steal something, we have a security team that's there, they're all armed. if you go in and you see guys that are armed, open carrying, you're going to just try to do the crime around them, right? Or you go to a church and say, hey, I want you to steal a kid. We have a church security team. They're all armed. And our security team's armed, every single one of them. Okay. Well, if you go to a church and you see 7 guys that are open carrying, okay, I'm just going to take the kid that's not in front of them. But if you go into that church or Walmart and you say, hey, I want you to steal something, by the way, we have a security team. They're all armed. And you go in there and you see nobody armed, then now everybody is on the security team. Same thing. You go to a church and say, hey, I want you to kidnap a kid. We have a security team. They're all armed. And you go in and all you do is see a bunch of bearded men, but you see no firearms. Okay, so every one of these guys has a firearm. Everybody here is on the security team. Because now you know that they're there, you just don't know which ones. There's no way that you can make an application of this person's on the team, this person's not on the team. So from a potential crime deterrence, if you know they're there, but you don't know which ones are there, that's going to deter crime way more than being able to openly see who's on that team. So I believe concealed carry gives you tactical advantages you wouldn't otherwise have. And if you need, and if you're worried about that draw pull, well, guess what? If they don't know that you're on the team and they think everybody's on the team, they're going to tread lighter. But if somebody's acting up and they have no idea, it gives you time to position yourself. Well, now you can position yourself in the best way possible and you can lift that shirt up and now you're ready to go. And you can do so in a way where your suspect won't be able to see you. So again, you gain so much more tactics-wise, and that's why I like concealed carry, because I'm all about tactics and putting myself in the best position possible. Because again, it gives you more defensive and offensive postures. It's easier to de-escalate. We have science, and again, I'll leave this study in the description box below. But we have science and research that suggests that the presence and visibility of a firearm may actually alter behavior and increase aggressive and violent behaviors. So if you do have to shoot and you have to engage in force, I like the ability to defend myself easier in court, saying, well, I knew that based upon the science out there, I knew that the visibility of firearms can actually aggravate people. So I kept my firearm secured. I kept it concealed. I utilized good communication, verbal communications and commands until I was just unable to do so. And to protect myself and others from serious bodily harm, I had to implement deadly use of force. It looks way better and it sounds way better than, now I'm in this situation where I'm talking to somebody and they're getting more aggravated by the presence of a firearm, right? I did not have the firearm with the intention of hurting anybody, but I also am going to defend myself and others from serious bodily harm, which is, protected by statute, protected by case law, pursuant to in accordance with Graham v. Connor and all the various uses of force applications out there. And so, again, when we're looking at this, the biggest thing that I tell people too, from a church setting, is your biggest killer in a church. And when I mean killer, I mean the biggest thing that is going to cause problems and disruptions in your church is distractions, right? So doing everything you can to reduce distractions is super important. And those distractions come in all facets, right? They come in people that are being loud and obnoxious. They come with people trying to constantly take and divert attention to themselves or to take up the time and attention of the pastor. We've all seen it. And pastors know what I'm talking about. So pastor gets off stage and immediately somebody has to demand his attention, needs to talk to him. Will sometimes even shake their hand and just hold on to the pastor. These are common things that pastors see and that church response teams need to be aware of. So any kind of distraction that goes away from the glory of God, that goes away from what's happening, is supposed to be happening in the church, can be bad. Open carrying a firearm can be a big distraction for people. Some people may not feel comfortable. Some people may be aggravated. Some people can't concentrate because all they do is they see all these firearms, right? It takes the attention off what the attention needs to be on. And when you're at church, it needs to be on God. And so, again, I believe that distraction is super important. Also, if your church has a concealed carry posture, you get to make a few decisions here. So if it's a concealed carry posture, and I know some churches in Texas that are very much this way, they only allow people that are been cleared with church staff to carry weapons, and they have to be concealed. So I know somebody that runs a very large church response team in Texas. And if you want to carry a firearm, you have to take his course, and he'll allow you to carry a firearm in church. Otherwise, you have to leave it secured in your vehicle. Is that above and beyond? Absolutely. You could absolutely say that. But does their church have every right to have that posture? They do, because there can be deconfliction issues if there is an active, shooting response. And so it's one of those things where, for him, that's what he does for his church, and it is what it is. Now, with that being said, you don't have to do that. But if somebody were to come to, my church and they were open carrying a firearm, I would it's so much easier when there's an adherence to standards. Hey, brother, sister, I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you have your firearm here. But our church, you're more than welcome to bring your firearm in, but it needs to stay secure in your holster and it needs to be concealed. We need you to have we need you to have that weapon concealed. If not, I'm going to ask you to take it to your car and secure it in your car. Because again, our staff, we have a professional security team here. We have a security team here. They're licensed and trained and all this other stuff, and we hold them to a standard of concealed carry. So we're going to hold you to the same standard that we hold our own professionals that are serving in our church, and that is a concealed carry posture. So again, you're more than welcome to conceal it, or you can secure it in your car. We have no problem with you being here, but we're going to hold you to the same standard that we hold our own church staff. And I think that that's important for all things, even when it comes to touching people, right? Some people are very much touchers and huggers when it comes to praying. That may not be appropriate. It may not be appropriate for me to go up to, a younger woman or a teenager, and if she needs prayer for, something, oh, my back hurt because I hurt myself in volleyball. It may not be appropriate, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to go and touch her lower back and pray for her, because number one, especially if she doesn't know me, and there's an appropriateness level. You want her to be comfortable. We want to pray for her, but there's a way to do that. And some random big guy with a beard putting his hand on a girl's lower back may not be the most appropriate thing out there. So it's easier to hold people accountable for certain things when your staff is held to a standard. So if your prayer team and intercessor team is held to a standard of this is how we pray for each other and this is how we do it appropriately based upon the core values of our church, it's easier to go to that man that is now doing this and say, hey, brother, let me just talk to you real quick. We thank you for coming up here and praying. Just know that we practice body safety here. And so we ask our staff to do X, Y, and Z. So if you're going to pray for people, we're going to hold you to the same standard that we hold our staff to. And that's so much, you're not attacking somebody because you're saying, this is the standard of the church. We're going to hold our intercessors, our prayer team, who volunteers their time, who comes out and prays and goes to church multiple times a week and prays for people. We're going to hold you to the same body standards that we hold them to. Again, it's so much easier to have an adherence to standards when we're all on the same page. And so again, when it comes to open carry versus concealed carry, I think you get way more out of it when you have a concealed carry posture, because again, it's all about distractions. And let's just be honest, this is something else that I'm just going to quickly touch up on before we close this video out, but also your individual response team, church security team, they can be a distraction even if they are concealed carry. I'll use myself as a great example. Everybody at my church, they know who I am. They know what I do. They know what I do professionally. I know there's certain parts of my security team that I manage that I can't participate in, right? So if you have, for example, I'm a big, firm believer that the pastor needs to have somebody dedicated to issues that may arise for him. 100%. Even if you're at a smaller church, we're starting to see this more and more. And so if you have somebody dedicated to your pastor, that person needs to be able to fit in relatively well. I know I can't do that role, right? So our security team is displaced throughout the various teams, right? We have our security team that is in our greet team, in our prayer team, in our they're catchers. They pray for people, right? So they're scattered all throughout the various teams and framework that the church has. So you see the greet team, you're like, oh, those are greeters. Yeah, one of them is on my team though. Oh, that's the deacon body. Yeah, that's the deacon body. One of those guys is on my team though. Oh, those are the ushers. Yep, that's right. Those are the ushers. One of those is actually on my team though. Oh, those are catchers in the front. Yep, one of those is actually on my team though. So they are doing the role as if they are on that team, but they are on my security team. And I do that because this allows us to have full ability to communicate with each other and allows us to know exactly what's going on in real time as it's happening. And so I know, for example, if I have a catcher who's in the front praying with people and catching people and all that stuff, he's going to be closest to the pastor, and his primary role is to the pastor. But If I walk up, so I know if I'm in the back of the church watching and all of a sudden I start walking up to the front, people are immediately going to be like, what's going on? What's he doing? I know that's the head of our security team. I know he's a cop. Well, what's he seeing? I'm automatically a distraction. So I know I can't go. I know I can't necessarily go up there because I know that I'm going to cause a distraction. Because when you look at me, I know most people don't look at me and be like, yeah, that chubby guy right there with the beard, yeah, the really big guy with the arms, yeah, he's the guy I want praying for my teenage daughter who's smoking weed and hanging out with older boys. You just don't look at me and be like, yeah, that's the guy I want praying for my son or daughter, right? I know that. And so I know that there are certain places I can't be because I'll cause a distraction, right? If pastor's having an altar call and I'm up there at front, right, front and center, right there next to him, I know that's going to be a distraction because people are like, what's he looking for, right? I have that look. I get it. So I have to have wisdom and know, hey, just because I run this team doesn't mean that I have the ability to play every role, nor should I. So I leave those roles to the people best suited, and I ensure they have the tools and training that they need to be the best at what they do. So maybe a catcher or somebody that prays at the front for altar call, maybe that needs to be the pastor, or maybe that needs to be somebody who, for example, is a principal at a local school that everybody knows. Oh, look at that. That's Tom. He's on the local school board. Or Tom, he's the principal for our high school. He's up there in front praying. Yeah, Tom. Tom is the guy that you would probably feel comfortable having, praying for your daughter or son for, them smoking a little bit of weed and hanging out with older people. Yeah, that's probably the guy you would want to pray. But guess what? He's in that position. He can pray. He can do all that stuff, but he's also armed and ready to go. And we as a team is there to hold and give him the resources and training that he needs. So again, distractions are going to be your number one killers in the church response team. And so limiting distractions as much as possible is ultimately for the betterment and glory of God. So for me, again, very strong concealed carry, very, very strong concealed carry posture. I think concealed carry posture is going to give you the most bang for your buck and is going to allow you to be able to circumnavigate around the church in the easiest way possible while still maximizing deterrence and maximizing both defensive and offensive postures. So again, hope this video was helpful for you guys. And also, let me just say, when we talk about concealed carry, let me leave you with this. As you saw, that the reason why I put that video there in the very beginning is because they're going to know if you don't do a good job concealed carrying, people are going to know, right? So if you're not even going to attempt to do a good job at concealed carry, you're losing out the best of both worlds. Having a concealed carry posture and concealed carrying in that way is the worst of all worlds. So if you're going to print and your weapon's going to be bulging out, there's really no reason for you to even conceal carry, right? Because you lose out on everything. Everybody knows you have a gun, and it's just covered, right? So you have no tactical advantage even when it comes to split-second decisions, and everybody knows you have the firearm. So you have no tactical advantage both offensive and defensively. So keep that in mind. If you're going to conceal carry. If you're going to open carry. But trying to have this hybrid where you just are doing a horrible job of concealed carry, you're not fooling anybody. Anyway, hope this video is helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. As always, guys, long live the Republic.